Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. We're going to talk about what we call a pushback, or things that's going really good in life, and then all of a sudden you get pushback from life, and things all of a sudden they're not going good. It's like everything turns sour or goes south. That's kind of what I think about when you mention pushback. Akvila, how would you say it, the phenomenon?
Yeah, same way. I mean, people put in a lot of work on whatever they're focusing on and where they're getting ahead in their business or their relationships or just, their personal work, spiritual work, anything really. And they see some success, they see changes, they've been working on it for quite a while. And all of a sudden, when they start seeing results and, hey, finally, brighter sky, things are getting better, boom, something happens in the background. You might say something as a person, like miscommunicate something. People will have misunderstandings. They will not hear you the way you were trying to vocalize and like verbalize what you wanted to say. And a lot of little things like that, as regards like communicating or maybe interferences or other things happening. And it's just like, it might be little things happening and it builds up to something big, or it might be smallest little things blowing up to something major. But it definitely like seems like, how could that have happened? Like, you've been working so hard and it just all falls apart so easily. That's a pushback.
Yeah. And may I add one last thing that can cause that? Do something really fucking stupid. That didn't seem stupid at the time, but just wait for it. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was a bad idea. And then it just dumps on everything you've been working on. So there's different kinds of pushbacks. Another thing it's been called is paradigm crash. You're creating a new
Yeah.
paradigm for yourself. Oh, it's looking good. It's going great. And it's like, wham, it just crashes. It usually happens at the peak of this particular kind of pushback happens at the peak or right after the peak of how wonderful. Like you're riding the high, wow. And then a day goes by and you kind of chilling, riding the crest. Oh, this is so nice. And then then boom. And it can just see it can be emotional depression thing out of nowhere, it seems. Yeah. Is that
Yeah,
another, you've seen that one?
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you suppose, what are your theories of, or what do you know about the subject? What causes that?
There's a lot. Part of it, first we have to take responsibility. That's my number one thing. So sometimes it's like self-sabotage, where we might have lived a life where we failed so much that when things start to get good, we're just not used to living in that new standard of being successful. Hey, look, you've had 25 years of like really messed up relationship, and all of a sudden things are good. You're gonna do something, say something to mess it up. Really great business? Well, if you're used to that, great. But if you've lived your life telling yourself certain kind of story, and all of a sudden you see yourself in new highs, you're not used to that. Your brain's like, that's not who I am. That's not who I identify as. I am the loser. I am the always late for something. I'm the last one to get something. So the story we've been telling ourselves, if we live that and it's negative, and we finally start seeing something good, we're gonna sabotage ourselves. That's one of the possible things.
Yeah, yeah.
But then there's so many like things that we don't know about, or let us say third parties. Where we
Yeah.
would call it entities or someone else in the background who sees us. Let us say spiritual beings, warfare and spirituality of, hey, look at you, an amazing being finally getting something done in life. You're going to be successful, creating a domino effect affecting other people, and that becomes dangerous. So, they're going to try to cause some little events or big events in your life to crash it. And where it is communication, whether we get access, whether it is people around us, various triggers and things come in and reactions blow it all up.
Yeah, yeah. We call it a third party because I'm the I'm the first party who I'm dealing with. My life's going great. It could be relationships, it could be business, it could be family. It doesn't matter, the neighbors, but they're the second party. So you have something really going well with the second party. But there's a third party that gets involved in your business or your relationship stuff, and oftentimes they're involved in both parties' headspace and thoughts, and you don't know it. So this is like troublemaker, or something like that. And it can be a physical person. It can be a entity stuff can get into one of a person's friend, who then that friend is being handled by an entity of some sort, extraterrestrial, ET, advanced weird shit. And the friend is being handled in such a way as to ruin it with you and the second party. So your friend out here has become the third party, but is actually being handled by, a fourth party.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we call it the third party law, which is if there's a disruption between two people that are getting along really well in relationship of business, romance, doesn't matter what. If there's a disruption, it's always a good idea to look for that third party, because it's kind of hard to have a fight with somebody if it's just two people. Yeah. So that's third party. Yeah. Wow. So what are some of the other pushback stuff that you know about?
Well, possibly the soul contracts. It's just things we agreed to before we come here to Earth, and it can really limit us.
Yeah.
The things we agreed to like, okay, we might have been successful, we might have been helping others before coming here, so we agreed to not play that game anymore, or we agreed to like, oh, okay, I'm too powerful, gonna become like everyone else to fit in, to be able to play this, to fit into category of being human and everything else. And all of a sudden, if you've been a healer, if you've been a psychic, if you've been doing other things, ain't working anymore. And if you've been teaching others, all of a sudden it's hard to communicate, hard to, be in the crowd and teach others, or like say what you want to say. We become shy, we have difficulties talking to others and little things like that, but it does build up.
Yeah. Like, for example, you come into this life, let's say it's not a forced incarnation, but you choose to come in. So you make all these agreements to live your life. You got these milestone things. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. I'm going to meet this person. This is going to happen. We're going to do this and that. And these are my, little checklist of your soul contract agreements. So those things are going to happen, have happened, and will continue to happen. Well, part of the challenge that you have before you come in might be to figure out how to overcome those kinds of challenges. So as you live in your life and it getting a little rough, you or I start pushing back against our agreements, our soul contracts, or this rough life we're living. But that's not the pushback we're talking about. We push back away from that, start freeing up, and we break free of it, or almost break free of it, and we start living large and doing well. And this shit comes back around and it starts, whoa, where the fuck are you going? You're not going anywhere. You've made these agreements. This is your life. Or you've programmed yourself, or your family, or your parents, or your life has programmed you into that rich man, poor man mentality, and you got the wrong side of that coin going. And so you're being pushed back by that. But you will get, that's what we're talking about, this pushback. How do we fix it? What are some of the ways to fix that shit?
I think awareness is number one thing. It's knowing yourself and who you are as a person, and then looking at things that trigger this. Like if we can catch these events, and most often what happens, it's the small things that build up or that blow up in our faces. And that will be miscommunication or little acts that seemed like you're trying your best and it really ruins everything. And you were putting all your best intentions and care, and like, hey, how the hell did my best actions turn into something like this? And if we're able to catch ourselves and again, take responsibility, maybe not be too hard on ourselves, but choose actions into, okay, that happened, I forgive myself, let's just take it in action and try to fix it or make it better or start a new page. But the sooner we can catch ourselves or try to communicate about it, the better. Otherwise, people go back into that, hey, I really messed up, and then blaming themselves and then giving up and then going back to their comfort zone of, I've been a loser my whole life and I'm unlucky and everything else. And we go back into that same zone we've lived in for as long as, we can remember.
Yeah.
So if we could just pick up and like keep on climbing, we're gonna like sort of like our standards and the way we're used to telling ourselves the story about us and our life will go
Uh-huh.
from being certain identity into something bigger and better. But we have to build it up and act as if, live as if we're that new whoever we want to be.
Uh-huh.
You know, like I really like that Joe Dispenza talking about, let's say, relationships and would you marry yourself? And be the kind of person that you would like to be with. So if you
Yeah.
want someone to love you, to have like listen to you and everything else, you have to become that. I've been like
Yeah.
really practicing it for quite a while, but that awareness is massive.
Yeah.
So that would be my way of fixing it, I guess, like on
Yeah.
this specific one, like our standards. But then there's entities and agreements and removing little things from our spaces, working with our identities and aspects and things that like will be the third parties and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Which reminds me, when you said entities, another kind of pushback is that you can shift identity. You can shift your beingness. Now it can be just bootstrapping, willpower, discipline, role modeled. I'm changing the way I am being, and you practice staying out of your old way of being and into the new way of being. That's that's one way to shift. The other one is like you have these archetypes of beingness. You know, the sage, the sovereign, the healer, the teacher. Mm, and those are just aspects of self that you wear or put on to live through your life. And maybe you lived in one, you're very comfortable with one. You may be winning at it or failing at it, but you're the healer, or you're the teacher, or you're the warrior. It doesn't matter. But you change. You say, well, I'm losing in that aspect, or so I'm going to shift. So now you can start winning, changing how you're being in this new archetype. But then you'll get pushback from the other one you were in. It will, because that was your comfort zone. Things will happen in your life and you want to go back. And so it's that comfort zone shit. You're actually comfortable and you're used to that kind of failure or emotional pain or something. So that's the thing. The other one is actual fucking entity phenomenon. And it gets in your space. And when you it's not affecting you, you feel successful, but you can live through that entity stuff for a very long time in your life without realizing it. It's blended with you. It may not even know it's an entity. It might think it's you, and you think you're it together as one. And when you pop out of that, you can get some freedom and start getting success, and you start winning big and things are going good. And then this entity phenomena will kick back in. So addressing the entity phenomena and those kinds of things.
I will just add a little part to the entities is that a lot of people who will do this inner work and like clear their space and see that they can like let's just say like that self-awareness and confront and everything else with themselves
Mhm.
when they get control of that they will start seeing the entity phenomena around others because if they cannot get you triggered within they
Yeah.
will try to use others to trigger you. It's like just like looking for any way to hit you, any open spaces, it's relentless sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I guess when we look at the big picture of what's going on with a person, sometimes the pushback thing is the biggest thing, but sometimes it could be something else. They're a targeted individual, they're being directed energy weapons, they got forced incarnation, they're a walk-in that's messed up and compromised with a slam in. It could be lots of different things. The big one is this alien love bite stuff, or astral abductions, and even physical abductions. So we have to look at, gee, what's there's a lot going on with a lot of people. Which one is the where we start addressing? That's where you come in. That's what I've noticed you're very helpful at. Yeah. Okay, so how do we wrap up the pushback video? Hmm?
um Ask people what kind of pushbacks they get and stuff.
Okay, did you hear that, folks? Are you experiencing this pushback, the paradigm crash, this sort of phenomena? Give some details, share it with us in a comment, and that way other people can see it too. Yeah, yeah, me too, me too, me too. And That'll give you some insight on what's going on in your world, and then you will know what to address and deal with to find improvement and betterment and stuff. Yeah. All right. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and we will talk to you later. Okay. And thank you, Agvila, for sharing your insights and thoughts on the subject.